You guys, this is so weird because I haven't filmed a video in so long and this just feels super foreign, but hey, here we go. Hello, my loves. Welcome back for another video, or welcome if you're new here. Whether you're new or not, I feel like I need to introduce / reintroduce myself because it has been kind of a while since I've uploaded on this channel. So, hi, my name is Cassie. I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and I currently work as a freelance video editor and producer. I am in very much a transitional point of my life, which is part of why I've been off YouTube for a bit. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it now because I'm sure you guys are here for goal setting and the 30 before 30 list. Can't believe that I wrote one of those, but that is why we're here. So anyway, just a brief update that I'm figuring it out as I go and I'm excited to take you guys along. If you are new here, I recently went through a breakup, I moved, and I've been freelancing for about a year, but am currently looking at getting a part-time job. So that's a quick up to speed for you. But with all that change happening in my life, this was something that I definitely wanted to do to kind of refocus and just give myself some goals, both small and kind of more of a reach, so that I'd have things to work to in the next year of my life. I turned 29 in January and I'm filming this in March. So I have already had a few of those months pass, but I think this is a good way just to kind of jump back into having my life together a little bit and striving for some goals. So I'm excited to share this with you all, and then also I'm going to do my best to turn as many of these goals as possible into vlogs. So I will go ahead and start a 30 before 30 playlist on my channel. This video will be the intro, and then we will work on getting these goals accomplished together until I turn 30, which I can't believe is within a year, but life comes at you fast sometimes, guys. So anyway, without rambling further, I'm gonna go ahead and just get into the video, but make sure to grab yourself a nice cup of tea or coffee, a snack, a glass of wine, whatever vibe you're feeling today. But this is definitely gonna be a very chatty, goal setting kind of video. So just want you to be prepared for a nice sit down chat, and I hope that you enjoy. All right, so I have all of my 30 before 30 goals listed out here on my iPad, but I'll also put them on screen for you so you can follow along. Number one is to run a 5K, and this one is definitely attainable, but for me personally, also a bit of a reach. I've never really been a runner as much as people see me and my build and just assume that I am one. I'm not. I think this is something that I can absolutely do though. I'm planning on doing like a couch to 5K kind of thing, or I have a friend who's a track coach who actually offered to coach me and like help me to do this once she saw my list. We'll see how it goes, but it's definitely something I want to check off the list this year and just register for a 5K, train, and do it. And you know, I don't have to run fast, but even if I can jog the whole thing without stopping, I'm gonna be pretty darn proud of myself. Number two is to go to Europe. This one is definitely a big goal, especially where I'm at financially right now. It's not super feasible, but there's still plenty of time left, and this is something I've been wanting to do for such a long time. I do have my passport, but the furthest I've gone from the US is Canada. Loved Canada, would love to go back, but also I've wanted to go to Europe since I was young, and this just feels like the time to actually do it, so it's on the list. Number three is to get a tattoo. This is another thing I've been putting off forever, which I kind of made the theme of this list, just like all these things I have in my mind that I like want to do, but then just keep putting off. So I've had the same idea for a tattoo for like 6 years now, and I still love it, and so I know it's not something I'm gonna regret. One of my best friends, Becky, actually is going to draw it for me, so I'm very excited about that. I need to connect with her and kind of get the design going and then make an appointment and get it done, and I will definitely take you guys along. Number four is to attend a NASCAR race at a new to me track. So most of you watching this probably had no idea that I followed NASCAR, but the easiest way to explain how I got into it is that I grew up in Central Florida. So if you've heard of the Daytona 500, I grew up 20 minutes from Daytona. I just have always loved NASCAR. It's always been in my family. My grandfather followed it, and my stepdad was really big on it and brought us a lot growing up. And it's just always been a thing I've done with my family. Like I often was doing like homework or reading a book while the race was on every Sunday. And it's just always been a special part of my life. And so this year I really want to go to a different track that I've never been to before and go to a race. It's been a while since I've been to a NASCAR race in person, and it's just so fun. Like it can be interesting to watch on TV, but I feel like you lose sense of how fast they're actually driving. And then when you're standing there and a car goes past you at 200 miles an hour, insane. So long story short, I'd really like to go to a NASCAR race this year, and I'm thinking either Richmond or Dover. Both of those are like 2-ish hours from me, so they'd be super doable, and I'm hoping to go with my mom because she is a huge NASCAR fan as well, and I think we'd have so much fun. Number 5 is to reach 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and this one is doable, but also is a bit of a stretch just for me personally, because if you've been here for a while, you know that I am not the most consistent YouTuber. That's not a thing I'm known for. And of course, consistency is the most obvious way that you grow on this platform. So I think this is really more about me kind of taking that step back and holding myself to a level of accountability that I've not done with my channel in a really long time, really treating it more like a part-time job and just seeing what I can do with it, because I've always loved doing this. I've been on YouTube since 2010 when I was 16 in high school, and that's like such a long time, but this has always really just been like a hobby and a creative outlet, and there's nothing wrong with treating it that way, but I would really love for this channel to be a bigger part of my life and hopefully eventually my career, and I have to start taking it seriously in order to do that. So that's why I made this goal, and we'll see what happens. Number 6 is to go on a yoga retreat, and I just would love this so much. I think it would be such a wonderful way to unplug and just really listen to my body for a couple of days. If you're new here, I've been practicing yoga at home for a few years now. I started during the pandemic, and it was really just such a great practice for my mental health, and I didn't really expect for it to last as long as it did, but in 2020 I made it a New Year's resolution to do yoga every day and see how long I'd last, and it ended up being actually over 2 years until I got COVID last year and just couldn't. And ever since then I have fallen kind of just out of the rhythm of practicing. I've done yoga here and there, but I do really want to go back into it, and I think going on a full-on like weekend retreat would be a really awesome way to do that, and just would be such a cool experience. So I definitely want to do that. Number 7 is to grow my business income to 6 figures. This one might be a little bit of a stretch, but I still want to reach for it. Why not, right? And if I don't get there, it's okay. But I do want some of these goals to be bigger, because that just gives me something to kind of dream towards and push towards. And if I'm being honest, the last couple of months have not been the best for my business. Things have been a bit slower, and even though I've been working, some of my payments have been delayed, which is just part of freelancing, to be honest. So I am looking for a part-time job right now, and I think that's really going to help me to kind of stabilize things out a bit. And then once I have that consistent income that isn't going to change, then I think I'll have a little bit more flexibility to really lean into freelancing in the rest of my work time and hopefully build my business and grow it to this point. I would be so proud of myself if I could reach that point within this year, because even just the fact that freelancing like paid my bills and sustained me last year, like I still can't believe that that was my life. I've dreamed of being my own boss and editing videos for a living for as long as I can remember. So no matter what happens in my career moving forward, I'm gonna continue to be really proud of myself, but this is such a great thing to strive for, and we'll see how it goes. Quick sidebar, sorry if the lighting keeps changing in this video. The sun is coming in and out from behind the clouds right now, so doing my best to adjust my camera settings, but it might just kind of be a bit of a process, so bear with me. Number 8 is another financial goal. It is to pay off my student loans. Full transparency on this, if the student loan forgiveness doesn't go through, I'm not sure that this is something I can do within the next year, but I'm hoping that it will go through, and that will be a possibility. I mean, I'd love to pay them off regardless and just kind of have the weight of that debt off my shoulders. I mean, I haven't felt it as much for the last few years because of all the like payment pauses and all of that. I still have made some payments towards my loans, but I really just love to get that done. So I wanted to put it on my list, and hopefully I'll be able to accomplish it by the time I turn 30. Number 9 is another financial goal, and it is to rebuild my emergency fund. This is something that I'm so glad I learned earlier on in my 20s to do. And if you don't have an emergency fund, you should make one, even if you start with like $20, $50, $100, whatever you can afford, just setting aside like a little bit of a cushion for yourself, that if you get into some kind of pinch, like your car suddenly needs a repair or you lose your job, like it's just good to have something to fall back on. And I had a pretty solid emergency fund until I quit my full-time job last year, and and I don't regret doing that. I'm very happy with kind of the turns that my life has taken since then, and I am so glad that I was able to do that for myself, you know, and be able to build this business and really just lean into my career and take hold of it and like value my mental health, like all of that, super proud of. But then at the same time, because my income hasn't been as consistent in the last year, I haven't really been able to catch up with my emergency fund. So that's definitely something I want to work on and have in a much better place by the time I turn 30. Number 10 is to be able to hold a conversation in Spanish. This one is kind of a fun goal. I did take 4 years of Spanish in like middle and high school, so I do understand a decent amount of Spanish, especially if it's written. Spoken kind of depends on the accent and how quickly someone's speaking, but I do have kind of a good foundation of Spanish, but I never really learned to speak Spanish, and I feel like it's a bit of a waste to not close that gap. So whether it's like jumping into Duolingo or leaning on some of my friends who are bilingual, if they'll let me practice with them, and just pushing myself out of my comfort zone, because I'd love to be able to like go to a Spanish speaking country and like actually talk to the locals, you know, and just also have that as a skill set moving forward. Like I could work on content in Spanish and use it in my work, and it's just not a bad thing to keep growing and learning no matter how old you are. So this is definitely something I want to work on. It's something I've wanted to work on for a long time, and now I am going to try to hold myself accountable because it's on this list. So it's kind of the whole point, right? Number 11 is to learn how to bake bread. I feel like this was such a big pandemic thing. Like people made like banana bread, and then they were like going into like sourdough. And I mean, honestly, if I could just make a basic loaf of bread, I'd be really proud of myself. It's just something that I think would be fun to work on. And also if I can get pretty good at making bread, then I can just have fresh bread on hand. That doesn't feel like it would ever be a bad thing. So it's definitely something I want to try to strive for and just have fun with this year. Number 12 is to plant and tend to a garden. I do live in a condo, so I can't go super crazy with this goal, but I'd really like to get like a little raised garden bed so I could plant like some vegetables or some herbs and really just try my hand at gardening. I really love plants and just, you know, the whole process of like taking care of plants, and I've always wanted a garden, and I dream of like having a proper one when I have a house one day. But I think this would be a good way to kind of like dip my toes in and start to learn, and you know, if everything dies, then I still will learn something and it'll be a good experience. So the best case scenario, maybe in the fall I'll be making like some salads and stuff with things that I grew myself. How cool would that be? Number 13 is to see a Broadway show. I've been to New York a handful of times in my life, but for some reason have never made it to actually go to a show on Broadway. And I feel like it's just something I absolutely need to take advantage of, especially being so close to New York. You know, it's possible to hop on a train or take a bus or honestly even just drive. So I really want to make sure that I make time for that by the time I turn 30. It just is something that's so easy to do, but I haven't actually done yet. So definitely want to check it off the list. Number 14 is to visit 5 new to me national parks. I don't think this one is too much of a stretch, but it will involve probably some traveling and weekend trips. So as long as I can get all my logistics in line, I'd absolutely love to accomplish this goal. I love spending time outside and going on hikes. There are so many amazing like national parks in this country, and I feel like I need to see more than I already have. So definitely something I want to work on and hopefully check off the list. Number 15 is to hire a photographer just because. I am always behind the camera myself, considering my profession. I mean, I guess I shouldn't really motion at the camera while I'm on camera, right? But when I'm doing video production, I'm never on camera myself. I'm always behind the camera, making someone else look good, telling their story. And I have never really done a photo shoot just cause, so I'd really like to. And I just think it'd be a lot of fun, you know, why not? Number 16 is to send Christmas cards. Obviously, I can't really work on this one for a while because it's spring now, so we have quite a while until the Christmas season, but this is just something that I think would be really fun to do. I know normally it's like couples and families, but I don't think there's anything wrong with sending a Christmas card as a single person. And also, if I'm gonna do a photo shoot, I need to show people the photos. So I feel like those two could go together pretty naturally. And I think it would just be fun to connect with friends and family in that like more old-fashioned way, like actually physically mail them something versus just like sending them an email or a text or something for the holidays. I think it would be just a fun thing to do. Number 17 is kind of a silly and fun goal. It is to play a sim save for multiple generations. And if you're not familiar with The Sims, then you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's just a life simulation game and you can do almost anything you could think of in it. It's so much fun. I've loved playing The Sims for years and I've really gotten more back into it in the last couple of years because I've found the Sims community on YouTube and also been watching like a decent amount of Twitch streams and stuff. But something I've never done in The Sims is actually play with one family for more than one generation, because I'll be so attached to the parent Sims that when they're like the grandparents and they die, I'm like so sad that I never continue the save. So this is such a small thing, but I really want to just kind of lean into that part of gameplay and just see a family through multiple generations. So definitely think I can get this one checked off the list, but wanted to put it on anyway just to hold myself accountable to like actually trying new things, because there's so much that you can do in The Sims and I feel like I've really limited myself and there's no reason to. Number 18 is to be invited to an influencer event, and this kind of goes hand in hand with getting back into YouTube, taking it more seriously. I'd really love to kind of get to that point where I would be invited to an event, and I'm not being particular about the kind of event because especially being in the DC area, it's not that there's no events that are happening, but this isn't New York or LA, so I have no idea what this looks like, but I think it would be really fun and something I'd be really proud of if I grew kind of like my online presence to the point where I actually would be invited to an event. Number 19 is to spend a night at a deluxe Disney resort. If you're new here, then you might not know, but anyone who watches my channel consistently knows I love Disney, hence the Mickey in the background here. But yes, I would absolutely love to spend a night in a deluxe resort at Disney. They're definitely on the pricey side, but I think it would be such a fun, just little bucket list moment to spend one night feeling like a fancy Disney guest and staying in one of the absolutely beautiful deluxe resorts on property. Number 20 is to take a road trip somewhere new. And this doesn't have to be super far. I think this one's also pretty attainable, but I'd love to just explore a new area in Virginia or even somewhere outside of Virginia. Just kind of, you know, get together with some friends and have a fun little weekend trip. Number 21 is to clean out / organize my home Marie Kondo style. And this one is kind of a hefty goal in a way. It's not that I'm like a crazy cluttered person, but I feel like I've moved so many times in my 20s and I've never done that like big purge I really probably should have done. And so, especially now that I'm living alone, I feel like I want to value my space even more than I have in the past, because it's not just like a space that I'm sharing with someone and I'm shoving all my stuff in my room, you know, like this whole space is mine. And so I really want to lean into that and make it my own and really just kind of take that next step in growing up and let go of the things that I don't need anymore so that I can be more intentional with the things that I'm keeping around me and, you know, they're actually contributing to my life and being useful. And if not, they're going to, you know, Goodwill or something so someone else can get better use out of them. Number 22 is to take a cooking class. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory, but it's just something I've always wanted to do that I've never made time for. And when I do make time for cooking, I really enjoy it. So I think this would be a fun learning experience and something to do with like a friend or even maybe like a fun date idea. So definitely want to check that off my list this year. Number 23 is to build a bar cart and learn basic mixology. This is just a fun thing that I've been wanting to do. I'm definitely a person that just has bottles of alcohol on the top of my fridge, so I want to just elevate that a little and create more of an intentional space in my home, especially now that I have the room to do it. And also just learn a little bit more about like the basics of making cocktails. I love hosting people and having people over, so it definitely would be a good skill to have and be able to use and just share with my friends and enjoy. Number 24 is to go to 10 or more concerts or shows. I absolutely love going to see any kind of live performance, whether it's music or like a theater performance. It's just such a cool experience and I just love it so much. So I definitely want to make time for it, and I've already booked several concerts for this year with my friends and family, and I'm looking forward to each of them so much. I definitely wanted to make it a priority because I just absolutely love live music and I want it to be a big part of my life, so it made sense to put it on the list. Number 25 is to learn how to change a tire. This one in theory is simple. I just need to find someone who knows how to do it to help me, or maybe just watch some YouTube videos and then see if I can figure it out myself. But this just feels like a skill I should know just in case I'm ever, you know, in that unfortunate situation where I end up on the side of the road with a flat. I want to be prepared to handle that myself. I mean, of course, I can always call like roadside assistance or phone a friend, but I just would feel that much more secure driving if I knew that I could handle a situation like that on my own. Number 26 is to read 30 books. This felt fitting because it's a 30 before 30 list, 30 books, right? Reading is something that I just absolutely love, but I'm so guilty of not making time for most of the time. You know, I'll end up gaming or hanging out with friends or binging a show or watching way too much YouTube, and all of those things are great and do add something great to my life, but I want to make a better intention to actually make time for reading. And I know that it's just a good way for me to unwind after a long day. I always learn something or gain something from it, and it's just a great way to unplug. So I definitely want to make time to read more. I think I've only read one book since I started this list, so not the strongest start, but I have plenty of time to catch up. And I think another piece of this is going to be me getting an updated library card so that I can start either checking out books from the library or getting books on Libby and reading them on my iPad. And that way it's a bit more accessible. Nothing wrong with buying books, but it can get expensive. And so, especially with the current phase that I'm in, I think that will help make this goal a little more attainable. Number 27 is to complete a 30-day fitness challenge. And this one, again, should be attainable as long as I hold myself accountable. I would love to do like a yoga challenge or even like lean into something else. Just pick something from YouTube and follow it for 30 days and see how it goes. I definitely want to make my health and fitness a priority in general in the next year. And so this feels like a really great way to continue pushing in that direction. Speaking of health, number 28 is to be up to date on my health appointments. This is something I've been guilty of basically my entire adult life. I have tried my best to keep up to date, but it's just one of those things that's so easy to put off, but it's not good to do because you really want to know where your health is at. Even if you're a healthy person, just, you know, having your yearly physical and like getting your dental cleanings and like making sure that your eye prescription is up to date. Like these are just all good basic things to do as a functional adult. And I usually am like halfway caught up without being fully caught up. And then like maybe I catch up on the other half the next year. So like I do try, right? And at least I have insurance, especially as a freelancer, but I need to take advantage of that and make sure I'm getting all of the regular appointments that I should be getting in actually done. So that's why it's on the list, to push myself to do that for once. Number 29 is to consistently decorate for holidays. This is definitely a bit of a smaller thing, but I have so many little trinkets and like dish towels and things for different seasons and holidays, and I sometimes forget to like switch things out, and it always makes me happy when I do, you know? It's such a little thing, but like why not bring yourself that little dose of joy, you know? So definitely something I want to make time for throughout the next year. All right, and last but not least, number 30 is to fall in love. And obviously this one like is gonna happen if it happens. Like this is not something that I can like actively make happen besides continue dating and see how it goes. And this is definitely a little bit cheesy too, but I am such a hopeless romantic. I just am, it's a fact. And so I don't know, I would have been remiss if I didn't add this to the list. Will it happen before I turn 30? Who knows? But you know, it would be fun if it did. And even if it doesn't end up being the love that like lasts forever and I like get married to that person, like I think it would just be really fun to fall in love again. And so I'm manifesting that for myself, and we'll see what happens. All right, that was my entire 30 before 30 list. I have been talking for so long. I can see my camera battery flashing. So I want to try to make this outro quick, but thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble and watching this whole video. I am so looking forward to this next year, or really I guess next like 10 months, because it already has been a few months since I turned 29. So this is a lot to try to accomplish in that time, but I think that's the fun of a list like this, right? It's just about challenging yourself and just trying to push yourself a little bit. Like not all these goals are like huge things. Some of them are, but then other ones are just things I've been putting off that would be really fun to finally check off my list. So I hope that this video inspired you maybe to make a similar list of your own, whether it's just a couple of goals for this year, or if you're around the age I am, maybe you can make your own 30 before 30. Anyway, like I said, thank you so much for watching this video and hanging out with me. I love you all so much and appreciate that you want to be here and come along on this journey with me. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you're new here. Also, if you're new here and you watched this whole video, Thank you. You're awesome. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you'll want to stick around and join the fam. With all that being said, I love you all so much, and I can't wait to take you along on this journey of my 30 before 30. It just is gonna be a good year. I can feel it, and I'm so excited to just see where it takes me and take you all along. So yes, I'm done rambling now, but I love you all so much, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye.